when things come out that crazy, you start doubting your sanity. Really. But figures don't lie. So do it for yourself. I'm not going to say, well, I'm right, this is what it is. Work it on your own calculator and see what you come up with. And if you come up with something different, get a hold of Lynn or Pam and let them know so they can get back to me and correct me. I'd like to be corrected on that. That is an astounding % of return.
Well, it is. And, the only thing that I know, as somebody that's involved in this on a personal level, and of course, emotional and spiritual all goes hand in hand for me, that I can do to avail anything important is to be the prayer warrior that I feel God's called me to be. So, that's my voice of reason, and I know that is also the calling of the lady that preceded me on this call. So, that's the only area that I feel effective in any way, shape, fashion, or form. So, and I'm aware of a little bit of what you've spoken about on the call this evening, not much because, it's a newly emerging idea for me and knowledge. So I thank you for bringing forward all that you do. It is very confusing. It's good to hear that, the smoke is cleared a little bit in this arena for just the lay people like me. It lets me know how to focus my prayers.
You're very gracious, and thank you, honey. And like I say, if you have any other questions, make sure you try to get them answered tonight so there is clarity. And yes, we are in a spiritual warfare, and we that are just common people, that we're not out in the white knight arena, that's the very best thing that we can do is to eliminate fear with those that we care about so that you're not feeding the dark agenda, because they feed off the fear. They want you to be in fear. They want you to get sick and die. They want you to go up running out of your house with your hair on fire. And we have been working with people for many years to calm the masses if possible, calm those people that will listen and understand and ask questions if they don't understand. Maybe we can answer it to their satisfaction, maybe we can't. But we're doing the best we can. And the main thing is to fill your life with beauty and everything wonderful that God has created for us here, because that is going to help us get this job done faster than anybody living in fear. So thank you for who you are and what you do, dear one. It's very important work.
Well, it takes a network of people that have, like spirits and interests and cares and concerns. My first allegiance is to God, my second is to my country, family and all of that. My priorities are very chiseled in stone, so I'm very clear on what my marching orders are.
Good for you, honey. It sounds like you have really good character, and not that other people don't. Everybody's where they're supposed to be, but it's nice to hear somebody that is focused in a good direction as far as I'm concerned. Thank you for that gift.
You're welcome. The world has a habit of trying to divide us, from what we know in our hearts and spirits. We just need to stay steadfast and focused, and I'm very much about that. So thank you again for all you do. I appreciate being able to ask you a question this evening. I was just concerned as to whether this RV will indeed actually happen, and of course we're all hoping for that.
Well, yeah, we are all hoping and praying for that, but when people give out rates and dates and that kind of thing, they don't know any more than you and I know, honey. And like I say, the fluidity of the information, it might be good information right now, but in the morning it might not be, because we're dealing with humanity, which is a very fluid type of a situation. It's like most of you have been in a workforce in an office, okay? Let me just use this little allegory right quick to maybe help you understand the frustration that we're dealing with. Good grief. Let's just say you're working in an office, okay, and you've got a pretty good group going on. Everybody gets along with each other beautifully. And then they hire a new person. The company is expanding, and they hire a new person that comes in maybe as a receptionist, or maybe she works at a desk, or he works at a desk there in the bullpen or whatever. And then the trouble starts. Well, what has happened is the chemistry of that original group changed. You've got a new entity in that chemistry of people, and it has to make an adjustment. It's just like these football teams. Those of you that are watching football or basketball or whatever, And the Lakers in Los Angeles, the basketball team, this is a very good example. They've been a winning team for how many years, and now they're trading off Lamar Odom to Texas and Paul, whatever his name is, and somebody else. And, of course, they denied the transfer of Paul and whoever else. And Odom went to Texas. Well, the chemistry of the Lakers has changed now. And when John Elway was quarterback for the Denver Broncos, which happens to be my team, I lived in Denver for about 7 years, and I got to meet some of them personally. And so I'm a real fan of the Denver Broncos, and I followed them for a long time. And so when John Elway, when he started out, he wasn't successful. They didn't know if he was going to make it or not, this Team Tebow now. And so they thought, well, we'll give him a chance and that kind of thing. And as he worked with the team and they kind of got their act together, they became a driving force, and they won 2 Super Bowls. And he retired before they won their 3rd one. Well, they became a new team again. Whenever you have a chemistry change in a group, you have a new group.
Exactly.
Okay? So that's what's happening. That's how fluid human nature is, okay? One person gets to disrupt the whole of the whole, okay?
Uh-huh.
And I'm trying to put it in a perspective that makes sense, and whether somebody thinks it's not sensical, I'm sorry, I'm doing the best I can with this, but I just want you to get a grip on how nebulous this is. You know, I mean, it's just, you think you've got it in your hand and it's going to happen, and it's like quicksilver. It runs out through all your fingers and it falls on the ground, and oh my gosh, we have to start over from ground zero again. Who knows what and why and when? You know?
Well, it's like nailing Jell-O to the wall.
Thank you. That's a very good allegory. God bless you for that one. I love that. Can I borrow that from you?
Absolutely. It's not original.
Well, that was good. Thank you so much for that, dear. I learned as much sharing with you guys as you might from me. I mean, we all learn.
Well, thank you again.
You're very welcome.
Good night.
Good night, honey.
Thank you, caller. Anyone want to star 6 themselves? Ask a question.
Florida?
Go ahead, Florida.
Hi. I really, really appreciate all your lovely ladies taking the time to put this call together. It's the first time I've been on this call, and I would love to learn more about it and also find out where else Carol is having calls at. Was introduced to the Dinar just over a year ago. It came through actually a 23-year-old son that was just way over his head in debt after getting out of school and not knowing what to do. But over the years, you know, I've come to realize that it's so much more than the Dinar. It's been such a shock, first of all, to start learning what's actually been going on and to come to the realization as to where we're at and what's actually happening. And I do follow the Dinar sites, and so I guess my question is, where can I go to get a lot more information, or as much information as I can, to know what's real and what's not real anymore? And that would be, I guess, to Carol or Pam or Lynn, but we'll start with Carol first.
Okay, to quote the lady that was on before you, it's like nailing Jell-O to the wall. That's the best example I've ever heard of it, and God bless her for that one. But I hope, Pam, this is okay with you and Lynn, too, that I give these 2 sites out, because to me, you're going to get as credible of information as I know of on the Internet. Pam, is it okay if I give these sites out? It's not my site. They're not my sites. They're not my calls. They're just information sites. They're not conference calls at all.
Pam, are you there? I would prefer that Pam does answer that question. Let me just check the board and see if she's here. She should be here. Are they 2 of the ones? Are they the ones you put out last night?
Yeah.
One of them, I think we as Dinarians kind of know. The one newspaper place.
Yeah, it's called NESARAnews.blogspot.com. John McAfee runs that site, and I've gotten to know John over the course of almost a year. We don't talk very often because he is swamped, and I'm very busy too. And I don't have the energy. Like I said last night, I've had to cancel 3 of my 5 3-hour calls that I ran for almost 6 years. Early this year, I only have 2 calls left on Wednesday and Thursday nights. And they're both 3-hour or longer calls. So my health is not good. So I just try to do what I can do. But John is posting the very best information he can find. And every now and then, when I know he's got somebody up there that I've been able to determine is of the dark, I'll get to him, either through somebody else or I'll call him, and he takes it down right away because he pulls what he knows into it. And of course, if I see somebody that I know for sure is bad, I'll let him know, and he gets it off his site as quick as possible. But so you've got NESARAnews.blogspot.com, John McAfee, okay. And then you've got RumorMillNews.com. That belongs to a lady by the name of Raylan, and she is on the inside of this stuff. She knows what's going on, and you might, catch a post that might not be what I would consider something I'd want to pass on to my phone family, but for the most part, those 2 sites are going to give you the best that we have as far as I know.
Okay. All right. Well, I guess I'm still I'm overwhelmed with with what I have learned, and just trying to share it even with people close to me. I mean, they look at you like you're nuts. And I'm wondering what people are expecting once this all starts coming out on mainstream. I've often said to my husband, I said, people are going to have that deer in the headlight look, and really think they're losing their mind and just be in total disbelief that people that they put their trust into, per se our government, could ever do anything like this. And then I think about the young men and women that have lost their lives fighting for this country for the sake of so-called freedom. And I'm just kind of sick over all of it.
Well, honey, all of us feel the very same way. We're so tired of the corruption. We're so tired of the pain and suffering in the animal kingdom and Mother Earth and all the things that have been done to our air and our water and the ground as far as contaminating our food, and all of the lives of the good people that thought that they were doing the right thing by fighting a war for our country, and it turns out to be just to keep the industrial military complex going and the money churning for Cheney and Bush and all those part of the dark, and we're not doing God's work by going in and blowing up countries and restructuring their cultures and that type of thing. That's not our job.
I had just one more question, and I know you maybe have thought about this because of your background. I also am a real estate broker, and actually have been out of work for quite a while based on what's been going on. But I knew back in the early 2000s that just something didn't seem right, didn't feel right. I couldn't, on a good conscience, keep selling people real estate because I just knew something was happening. And I'm trying to figure out where I'm going to fit back in with that, because that's all I really have done. What